What do the rich buy that the poor don't even know is available for purchase? Private performances with big name artists. I was on a yacht in the Virgin Islands and some mega yacht owner pretty close to us had Christina Aguilera flown in to perform for his guest on the mega yacht. We were close enough to see the performance, not close enough to pretend to be part of the party. I saw an interview with Penn from Penn and Teller talk about doing a private show on a yacht for one of the Microsoft guys. They paid to shut down Fire Vegas show for a week. Flew Penn Teller and their crew to Asia, put them up for a week on a luxury yacht and had them do one show for Thea friends. Here was a couple of big name bands on this cruise as well. I had a buddy who hired a driver. Got him to get a chauffeur's license. And then made sure his Jaguar was long enough to meet criteria as a limo. And then he could legally drink in the back seat. When I traveled with him internationally, someone met us at the door when we were dropped off. And they walked us to our plane. None of that customs security stuff occurred. In Iowa your vehicle doesn't have to meet length requirements. My husband worked with a guy whose wife got her chauffeur's license so he could drink in the back seat of their sedan. Luxury ice cubes. Gunsel Luxury Ice Co. produces perfectly square ice blocks for minimum dilution and maximum cooling. Hand carved and completely clear. These cubes are sold in bags of 50 and each bag costs $325. That's some BS. How much a drink is cool depends on how large of a surface area the ice cube has and is correlated to the rate at which the ice cube melts and thus dilutes the drink. Either you get minimum dilution by using spherical ice cubes or maximum cooling by maximizing surface area. Both at the same time is just not a thing. Yeah, but have you ever had 3 perfectly square ice cubes in your 1965 single malt? Pet cloning. Ex-boss was getting his dog cloned for $100 K. Everyone knows about mega yachts. But the very rich also enjoy their own trains. Or at the very least private super luxurious train cars. With their budgets it isn't expensive to rent space on freight lines and an engine. Assuming they don't own their own. Sometimes a group of friends will hook their private cars together and motor around a continent having a big party. Now I am imagining some fat cat in his luxury train car between a bunch of loads of coal and some hobos in an empty boxcar. M.R. Burns. This could take a good while. Why don't you get drunk and stumble around comically for my amusement? Smithers. I will be a one-man conga line. Sir. Specialized household staff. When someone is truly mega rich, running their household takes the same complexity as running a small to mid-size company. And management is skilled and compensated accordingly. Don't think butler, think head of operations at a luxury hotel. Double quote. The staff that household managers oversee can be really specialized as well. For example, Larry Ellison has his own personal curator to oversee his collection of Asian art. They do things like advise on the purchase and sale of art in his collection, oversee storage and display of art housed on his property, oversee process of lending art for storage and display at museums. The curator will often have their own staff to conduct actual conservation work, art transport, art installation, etc. So if you've already got an in-house crew of 7 people focused on your art collection alone, imagine how big your entire household staff is. That's why you've got a household manager. Private boarding gate at certain airports. Complete with showers, a spa, full bar, lounge, food, a bed, gym, sauna, etc. Total privacy. Your luggage is scanned and taken through security by a concierge. And you're driven to the plane in a BMW 8 Series. Lax has them now. Landing 747s in small airports. I grew up around Lexington, KY. The region is huge on horses. Particularly thoroughbred horses. The entire city is surrounded by horse farms. And these farms breed some of the best racing horses in the world. The rich and famous will often come here to buy thoroughbreds to add to their breeding stock. One such person is a sheikh from Dubai, I think, who owns his own private 747. Now the local airport isn't rated for 747s. And it's not legal to land one there unless it's an emergency. The Sheikh doesn't care though and lands his 747 there anyways. The airport fines him every time he does this, which he is totally fine with paying. I've been told that many of the upgrades to the airport over the years were almost entirely funded with money from those fines. In London, rich people figured out it was cheaper to just park on the streets illegally and just pay the fines every day than to pay for parking in the city. So the city started clamping cars. So the rich people started paying people to go and pay the fine for the car to be unclamped before they wanted to leave. Something they do that most people don't know about is buy entire libraries at once. My sister used to work at a bookstore and told me someone came in and wanted to furnish their library with a library size purchase of books. They just wanted cherry-picked bestsellers left to the discretion of the people working there. It sounded wild. Edit. This place is a wealth of knowledge. And I'm here for it. Had no idea you could buy books by the foot. What a bizarre idea. Some wealthy people also buy books as decoration, with no intent of reading most of them. They buy books from wholesalers by the linear foot, specifying how the books look on the shelves, size, color, material of spine, etc. Without any regard for what the books actually are. They just need to fill wall space and library office rooms in their homes. Time. All that crap you do, commuting, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning your house, waiting on hold, paying bills, all those chunks of your life that are eaten up by minutiae, rich people buy out of all that routine garbage. Time is all you really get in your life. Rich people buy it back. Kidnapping insurance. Can confirm. I worked for a place where the CEO was very hands-on and would oftentimes fly to countries that were less than stable to sell the product. In case of kidnapping, we had insurance for him. For anyone else that traveled with him that might get grabbed. And contingency plans in place for what we needed to be doing and who to contact in case this happens. Access. Money buys you access to people, places and events. It also buys you inaccessibility. I know a couple of billionaires. Both have yachts. That way they can get away from everyone else and just bring in the people they want to spend time with. The planet isn't that big. So my friend said he kept bumping into the same people all over the place. Gstad, Barbados, wherever. Same crowd of loaded people in the same restaurants and hotels. In the end he bought a yacht, kitted it out like he wanted it, and just flew in his pals. Actual smart homes. The Alexa Google Home market is bringing it more mainstream. But for decades the wealthy elite have had smart home functionality through companies like Crestron. The controls go far beyond controlling your lights and thermostat, and integrate with more technologies. Goddamn, Crestron brings back nightmares from my AV tech days in college. You think your platinum card is cutting it? Please. Centurion is the way to go. I'm not rich, but due to the fact that my dad was a top level govt official and I went to a very elite private boarding school, I hung out with some fabulously wealthy kids, i.e. rich parents. What surprised me is what a portion of very rich people don't buy. I noticed that a surprising percentage of very wealthy people don't buy super fancy cars. For example, one family who owned a world famous beverage company all drove around in nondescript SUVs or minivans. Some rich people are extremely flashy, but others are almost manic about not being seen as crass. And to those people, a supercar is crass, but apparently having a $10 million home in Palm Beach is not crass or. Standalone ice machines. These are under-counter appliances whose sole purpose is to make ice. And not just any ice. The cheaper, $2,000 plus, ones make normal crescent-shaped cubes. The more expensive one, $3,000 plus, make clear ice in cube shapes. And then pallet ice makers, $4,000 plus, which is the chibble ice like Sonic has. These are the more entry-level models to boot. Some break 5 digits. I used to work for a manufacturer of these, and at some point a lady was arguing with me because we were shipping a replacement part ground instead of next day air, and she made a snide comment about if it were my ice machine she'd bet it wouldn't take this long. I told her, "Mom, I don't have an ice machine." She snapped back all proud like she'd cornered me with, "Then how do you get ice?" I told her from an ice tray, and she replied with, "Well, I don't have to do that." "Yeah, well, for the next 3-5 business days you do, bitch. I do not miss that job at all." Unique items. Occasionally you see in the news stuff like hat used in some popular movie auctioned for $80. 000 inches or 5,000-year-old Egyptian statue auctioned for $2. 000 inches, and I think, what kind of auction do you even go to buy that kind of thing? Like, who do you have to even be in the know about these auctions? A rich person. A person to go to jail for you in your stead. This is a known phenomenon in Latin America, but I imagine it happens in other places as well. Certainly amongst the accuser it happens. I knew a guy who did 8 years for his boss and got paid. "Hey man. My family is one medium accident or bad event away from completely imploding. If push came to shove, I'd serve time to make sure everyone else stays afloat." People that get you out of legal problems before they ever reach your lawyer's desk. Let's just say I know a guy means some disturbing shit when you're rich. Do too much blow and murder a jogger in the park? Don't worry. Richie Rich. You have a guy for that. Tax season coming up? You know a guy. So you can sleep at night with ease, knowing that only pennies of your profits will go to the peasants. It might seem stupid, but time. Outsourcing tasks they don't want to do the things they want. I don't consider myself wealthy, yet I hire a cleaner and a lawn guy and a car cleaning guy. Some friends say I'm lazy, but straight off the bat every weekend that's 4 hours I get back and can spend with my wife and kids. It's the best deal going as far as I am concerned. One thing that comes to mind is preventative medical care. Regular checkups. Dental cleanings and repairs before damage is bad. Visits to allergists, therapists, and more. Even with the great insurance I get through my company, it's still difficult to swing all the copays and having to limp along with problems until my insurance re-ups kinda sucks. I wish I had enough money to have teeth. Double quote. That was what I said in tears to the woman at the low-cost dental clinic when she told me how much my repairs would be at a discount. Asterisk. A job in the entertainment industry. You don't need that much talent. And if you do have some talent, you will get the best marketing to amplify your chances. Then once you become famous and earn money on your own, the circle continues. Think Paris Hilton, Cara Delevingne, etc. Interior plant sprinklers. Went to a friend's mansion and all his plants inside his house are watered via an internal sprinkler system built into the walls and floor. The rich friend had never given the system a second thought. But my other friend and I were dumbstruck that such an invention even existed. I wouldn't have thought of that in 100 years. Most of the other things mentioned it are major things, and mainly common sense. But it's the small quality of life improvements like not having to water your own plants that are the real perks of being rich. Applied to a job listing that was extremely secretive. I interviewed in the first bit and was asked questions regarding being essentially a handmaid for technology. The position would fly anywhere the employer would fly. Be available 24/7. Oversee all technology and technology staff. Report directly to the employer. At the end of the interview, I realized that this was essentially just a tech BTCH position. I wish I had gotten it since it paid very well, lol. Want to have the best party ever with 450-900 of your closest friends? You used to be able to rent the entire country of Liechtenstein for a cool 70k a day on Airbnb. With 500 plus bedrooms and 500 plus bathrooms and 35,000 happy faces every day of your stay. A human life. I heard a story of an Arab leader who had a weak heart. So he hired a man to be on call 24/7 for the day when they both went up in his private jet that was outfitted with an operating table and only one came down alive. The donor's family was promised wealth and security the rest of their lives, and he gave up his heart to ensure same. Private gentlemen's clubs, upper class brothels, where the member fee is prohibitive and you have to dress formally, and basically the prostitutes are often also models and entertainers. I haven't been to one, I'm a straight woman, but I've seen photos from an online friend's timeline. The place on the inside is like a palace, and they hold parties where women drink super expensive liquor and pretend to be happy. They look more like K-pop stars than what most people think of when they hear prostitutes. Those women would drive luxury cars and wear designer clothes as it gives them status, which makes men more willing to pay them for status. I pretended to be a man and talked to one of them online. She's more like the advertiser for several brothels, and she told me that the cost to her particular brothel, not the best of the best, would be a few KS for one trip of about 1-2 hours. They tend to be pretty well known in some circles, but the law enforcement turns a blind eye to it since they have connections to government officials. Someone probably mentioned already, but rich folks can, and some do, get the blood of younger people circulated into their body for potential anti-aging properties. Seems kinda crazy at something like $285,000 per person. But if you're an old guy gal with tons of $, and most wealthy people tend to be, what wouldn't you trade for the potential to slow down? If not momentarily reverse some aging? That's the idea at least. Currently doing work for the owners of Porter Airlines out of Toronto. They've bought an island for $21 million and are basically flattening it and building their own monster house on it with helipad, obviously. I've done work for them at their farm, and they have 2 of the latest and greatest helicopters on standby with pilots ready to go at all times. Just unfathomable money. Not rich myself, but happen to know about this. Medical services. If you are wealthy enough to pay cash up front. In some hospitals in the US, you can get very personalized concierge-style medical services if you plan ahead and call the right people. You don't wait to be seen. You don't wait in the other little room either once the nurse takes your blood pressure. You can even ask to see all your specialists in one day. They may or may not provide a lunch. That's how it is everywhere with private hospitals' payment up front. People in the US have completely been lied to that universal healthcare would make private hospitals' medical centers insurance illegal. They are so wrong. Every country that has universal healthcare also has all those things. And I've used both. No lines. I dated the niece of a famous celebrity, and she took us to Disneyland, where we were given a private security detail of 5 people dressed in civilian clothes and special passes that got us on the rides immediately no matter what. Some of the staff was even surprised by the passes and had to radio behind the scenes to verify that we were indeed part of an exclusive party attending the park that day. Whatever they want. This might sound like a flippant response, but I'm being serious. I met a guy once and I knew he was rich. He drove a 6-figure car. Had $1 million house. All that. But the moment that I really saw the definition of wealth was finding the golf cart he had parked in his garage. I asked him why he owned a golf cart. And he told me that him and a bunch of his friends decided that they were all going to buy golf carts, trick them out with Christmas decorations, and compete for the best decorated one at a party where they rented the whole golf course the week of Christmas. Things like that sound the most fun to me. Just getting to have an idea and not have to pay attention to how much of a waste of money it is. Worked for a contractor on a complete remodel of a house on Palm Beach Island, Florida. The owner was having a library office put into one of the rooms. Most of the walls had newly built-in bookcases, but there were sections of the other walls that weren't deep enough to hold actual bookcases and books. He paid double-digit thousands of dollars to have books cut down so that they were the spines and about 2-3 inches of the actual book part, and then had them mounted into frames that looked like the other actual bookcases and mounted onto the walls to make the entire room look like a full and complete library. Investment vehicles not available to common investors. Private equity is a ludicrously profitable market, but the price to entry is north of several $100,000 to a couple million. Buy into an IPO at the IPO price. You know how it jumps 30-50% after the first day of trading? Yay. Guess who gets to buy it at the initial price? Rich people. Seats on corporate boards. You get paid usually 200-300k per year to meet 4 times per year and be an advisor. Also a common vehicle for peddling influence among political elite. Went to Hearst Castle. On the tour the guide was explaining that Hearst liked to collect ceilings and hearths from across Europe. What about North American ceilings? I got some pretty sweet popcorn texture I let go for a couple million. In fact, buy today. And I'll cut the price in half. And throw in the walls holding it up for free. Howard Hughes bought Class TV in Las Vegas so he could watch movies whenever he wanted to, regardless of the scheduled programming. If he fell asleep during a movie, he would often call the station and have them rewind it to the point where he fell asleep. If he got bored with the movie, he'd have them change it to something else in the middle of the airing. He also bought an entire casino just so he could move the neon sign so it would not shine through his window.